It's that time. Welcome to Roadmap. How to take 3 listings a week until you're ready for more. Each week we interview a great agent who's consistently taking 2, 3, 4 listings a week. And we have an exciting guest today. We encourage you to take notes and apply as much of their knowledge as quickly as you can. And then use the copycat principle. If you're watching on Vulcan 7 or the Lead Gen Facebook group, you'll have an opportunity to ask questions during the broadcast. Let me introduce my co-host from San Diego, Carly Hathaway. That's carlyhathaway.com. Hi, Carly. How's the real estate business?
Hi, Ren. Hi, everybody. Real estate is great.
Yeah?
San Diego is booming. Good time to be a listing agent.
Before I introduce our guest today, I want to remind everybody that we're also simulcasting the show on the private Lead Gen group on Facebook. They have 52,000 members now, so we have a large audience there today as well. And we will be pausing for a commercial message during the show as a thank you to the Lead Gen folks. Let's welcome our guest today from the beautiful state of Hawaii on wonderful Oahu, not too far from Waikiki, Mr. Devin Tryan. Welcome, Devin.
Thank you for having me. Much appreciatied.
Glad you're here.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're really excited for this interview.
Mahalo, mahalo.
Yes.
We should have filmed it live on set.
I know.
There was a time that these shows were live.
So, Devin, what is your goal for the year?
The goal for the year was initially to hit 950 GCI. After getting back from the summit, we were just chatting about we're aiming for 50 units, but now we actually pumped it up to 70 units sold.
Good for you. Congratulations. Are you on track?
Thank you. Yeah, we're just under 37 units year to date.
And to be fair to our audience, you want to tell them what a typical list price is?
I mean, they probably don't want to know unless they're from California, but we're looking around average for a single family is about 750 to 1.3. If we're in a condo, it's about 400 to $1 million.
Yes, we love those prices.
Right. So it's like, yeah, so, you know, because sometimes people say, well, why didn't do 100 transactions? He's rich.
Exactly. So how long have you been in real estate?
I got my license April 2014. For the first 2 years, so all of 2014 and 2015, I sold a total of 1 home. And that's just because somebody walked into an open house and they said, I'll buy it. Do you have a purchase contract? And I said, I do. And she took it and she filled it out for me because I didn't know how to do it. And she wrote an all cash offer. We opened escrow on a Monday, sold it on a Friday. And that was my first transaction in 2 years.
And so you were like, this is the easiest job in the world.
Well, yeah, until I didn't sell anything for another 2 years.
Yeah. Okay. But you haven't been licensed very long and you're doing big numbers. So, okay, first 2 years you didn't do much. So what was the change? Right. What was the trigger?
In late 2015, early 2016, all I sought after, all I focused on initially those first 2 years was GRI, MRP, SRES, Board of Realtor certifications, because that's what I thought made a really excellent realtor. And I went to a training class and they said, well, no, you're at a certification class. You need to come to sales training. Come check out KW. And I was like, I don't know who you are, but free knowledge, I'll take it. So I show up to this class and they're like, Devin, 33 touch, expireds, 4 for sale by owners, door knocking, this. And I'm like, all I thought was, wow, I just thought I had to get more certifications. And that's what I thought was going wrong. So I told the teacher that day, I was like, Libby, that was her name, sign me up today. And she's like, okay, here's a transfer form, fill it out. And I filled it out. I was at KW the next week, learned about expired listings, learned about for sale by owners and door knocking, and then just went after it.
Nice.
Wow.
So it's almost like one of those things where you don't know what you don't know. So you have your license and it's like, kind of, then what do I do?
Yeah, I actually thought that for some reason, people were just going to start calling me.
I know. I think we all think that.
It took 2 years to learn that's not how it works.
Mm-hmm.
What are you going to do with all those letters after your name?
I know. All those certificates. So,
yeah.
So your main business came from calling expireds and FSBOs. What was kind of your motivation? I bet, you know, when you first week, first month, first 6 months calling expireds, you know, was it just like getting listing appointments like so easily, or did it take some time?
Well, no, I was terrible. I was awful. I'm so glad there's no recordings of me back then. I started calling because, I mean, I was like 20 years old, 21 at the time. I'm 25 now, which is still, I understand that's young for this business. But I had a moped. And so I couldn't work with buyers because I couldn't just put them on the back of my little 49cc moped.
Oh my God.
I was like, well, I have to work with sellers. And I was new to the island. I didn't know anybody. And I was like, well, if I go after expireds, I can park down the road. I can like walk up to their driveway so they don't, of course, no, I don't want to roll up to $1 million house on a darn white moped.
Yeah.
And I'll walk up and they'll say, hey, where did you park? And I'll be like, oh, you could have parked in the driveway, but I found street parking. It was fine. Don't worry. And then I started doing that. And then I got like my first listing. It was a $1.6 million multifamily home from an expired.
Nice.
I had no idea what I was doing. I was watching a Mike Ferry listing video like 10 minutes before my presentation. And I wrote it all down. And he said something along the lines of, listen, this is your business. They don't know how it's supposed to work. Just write down the checklist, refer to it. They're not going to know. They don't care. And then just follow it. And so I showed up and I would like cross off the checklist as if I knew what I was doing. I was like, okay, we went over this. Now let's go over this. And they're like, wow, you're the best agent we've met out of 4 or 5 of them. Yeah. And I was just like, great. And this is my first one, right? So 0 confidence, but I was just winging it. And then I was like, wow, this really works. And then put it under contract, sold it. It was a 1.55, I think it was. So that was the biggest paycheck I've ever received in my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And, did you trade in your Vespa and get a car?
I sure did. Like that, the day of.
That's awesome. But you know, it's true. You know, if you go into a listing appointment and just kind of don't have a game plan, whether you have the listing presentation memorized or not, you have to have some kind of game plan. You can't just go in there and wing it.
You do.
Mm-hmm. So getting back to calling the expireds and stuff. So I'm sure the first, like I said, few weeks you were getting beat up on the phones, you're getting hung up on, you know, you're fumbling. What kind of got you to stay on track and keep making those phone calls day after day?
Ooh, that's a good one. So I started coaching with, I got a coach right after that first closing. And his name was Dean Ayers, great guy. And he's like, Devin, all you got to do, like, you just got to call him, man. You don't have to be fancy. You don't have to do all this stuff. And so we get on a phone call. He'd tell me what to do. We get on another phone call. And he would say, how was the week? And did you do what I told you to do? And I'd be like, well, no, I found all this other stuff. And at one point, after like 8 weeks of this, he's like, all right, Devin, listen, hold on. Stop the coaching call. Like, stop. Be real with me for a minute here. Why aren't you doing what we talk about? And I was like, well, you know, I've got all this other. And he's like, no, dude, you've got nothing in escrow. You're not busy. I know you're not busy. You can't be. Like, for real, what's stopping you? And I was like, well, blah, blah, blah. And giving him excuses. He's like, all right, hold on. He's like, I've got dozens of clients that are calling expireds very successfully. So we know that lead source works. I was like, okay. He's like, and are there people in your market that you're aware of that are also doing well? And he's kind of like eliminating some of my excuses, right? I'm like, well, yeah, there's lots of people doing this. He's like, so really, what's the only thing stopping you from being successful? It's not me. It's not these other people. And I was like, well, he's like, come on, like level. And I was like, all right, it's me not doing the shit. He's like, yeah, dude, you're wasting your effing money. Mm-hmm. I was like, he's like, if you're going to be in this business, you may as well do it. Like, don't waste my time. Don't waste your time. Switch to something else if you're not going to do it. And so my first 6 months, I struggled, and even maybe my first year. And then he had a very real conversation with me about that. And he just called me out. And I was like, and after that, he's like, you know, I'm going to hang up. This is what I want you to do. I want you to think about what we just talked about. Call me back in 1 hour and tell me if you're going to stay in this business or not. So I called him back an hour later. I was like, all right, let's get real. What do we need to do? And then that's when I did it so much, it became a habit.
Yeah, that's good. So you just needed a good kick in the butt to create that habit.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah, good. And you're still sticking with it. You're still calling expireds and FSBOs every day?
Daily. I do it daily.
What's your daily routine?
So I'm up at 4. If I snooze, it's 4:15. I see it's shaking. I have a trainer that I meet with at 5, from 5 to 6. From 6 to 6:30, I'm at the gym, or I'm showering. I usually get to the office about 7:15. My assistant will get there at 7:45. She will prep my call list, make sure there's no duplicates. It's usually never an issue, but if they relist a home under a different address, they drop a C or a dash or something. So I'll just have her double check everything to make sure. Now, so my current assistant, her name is Rachel, and her job actually is to prep the call list. And then she's not allowed to do anything else until I get on the phone. So she takes all of my notes for me while I'm calling, actually. So this keeps me accountable, because sometimes it's easy, you just don't feel like doing it. So her only job for the first few hours of the day is just to make sure I stay on track. And she'll take all the notes, because she can't do anything unless I start. And so she's been instructed to just sit there and collect her hourly income and drink coffee until I start my calls.
So let me get this straight. That is probably you're paying her to be there and, like, say, make another call.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that is the highest level of account. And if you don't show up, I mean, you're going to show up because you're paying this person.
I'm paying her.
Everything falls apart if you don't show up.
Exactly.
But if you show up, you have way more than enough money to pay her.
Exactly. Oh, easily.
And everybody that's watching this, everybody should hire somebody just like that and do just that. Pay them to sit across from you, take the notes from the call, listen to the call, take notes, organize it, and just say, make another call. That was amazing. Make another
That's
call.
it.
I mean,
that's it.
How long does that go on?
Yeah.
3 hours, 2 hours?
First hour and a half is all of the new expireds.
Gotcha.
Second hour, so hour between hour 30 and 2:30 would be follow-up calls. And then 30 minutes is, because I don't do any research before the calls.
Okay.
And then I have 30 minutes left over if I have to look something up or research something and then call someone. That's what I save that last 30 minutes for.
Yeah.
So 3 hours a day, Monday through Friday.
I noticed, like, when you are in the middle of calling, if you do start to look at too much into a property, you fall down the rabbit hole and your calling stops.
Don't waste your time.
Yeah.
We're going to make everybody watch this little section that just played and hire somebody to come in.
And I'll tell you where the idea came from. There was a point where I was starting to fall behind on the calls, and inevitably what happens to your business, it does the same thing. And so I was like, man, and I hired a trainer, and I hadn't missed a day of working out in like months, because, Ben is there at 5 a.m. waiting for me. And if I don't show up, he's going to call me and be like, what the heck are you doing? Where are you at? Like, come to the gym. So I don't want to let him down. And so I realized the accountability in that is so effective. And I said, well, why don't I just do the same exact thing? And it worked just as well, if not better.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say that accountability with the trainer is going to carry on over into the accountability for you making your phone calls. 100%.
That is the biggest struggle everybody has.
Yep.
Is the I don't want to voice.
Mm-hmm.
And if nobody's standing there waiting for you to show up,
right,
the I don't want to voice is going to prevail.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's great. What a great idea. I think we can all...
Thank you. Easy. And it's so easy because, like you said, Ren, I mean, the dollar per hour cost versus the dollar per hour income totally offsets anything, no matter what.
Yeah. Are you going to make a 6-digit income this year? Or do you already?
Well, the goal is for 7-digit.
Your goal is for 1 million. Sorry, I'm off by a digit. 1 million.
A little bit over, actually, because I mean, in our business, our cost, our overhead is it can be so high if you're listing based, staging and everything else that goes with that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, gross income at least.
Yeah. Well,
but commission checks are like 20 grand or whatever. So
25. I think mine's an average between about 18 and 25.
Okay, good. And times 70.
70, yeah. We'll hit about 70, I think. Or it's a bit of a stretch, but we'll definitely get to 60.
Yeah. When you're on the phone calls, I know there's only like a few really objections. What do you feel is like the most common objection that you're getting when you're calling expireds, and how do you overcome it?
It's the same exact thing that probably every person who's on this call, everybody says, You've got like really only 3. You've got, I mean, a few variations, of course, and people can bring up some crazy stuff, but you've got the ones that don't want to sell, or they tell you they've changed their mind, or we're taking it off the market. We never want to sell again. You've got the ones that say, hey, you know, we're relisting with the same agent. And then at least in our market, you'll get the, we're just going to rent it out. You do have variations, you know, we want to try it ourselves, and that's usually not even true. A lot of objections I've actually learned is you can just blow right past them. People try and get too deep into them. You don't even have to handle them sometimes.
Right. Yeah. So Devin, when they give those objections, what do they really mean? What do they really mean? Why did they even say them?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on the person too. You got to look at their motivation. It could be that they want to get you off the phone. It could be that they're just giving you excuses. It could be sometimes they're just trying to feel you out and see how serious you are and if you're good.
Just slow you down to check you out, so they don't have they don't have 20 people coming over. Gotcha. So
the most important thing, and with a lot of the objections that I've learned, and I learned this we talked about a little bit from Carolyn Young, actually. Now, when they give you these objections, you cannot answer in a long, drawn out, even question-based selling manner. It has to be really fast, powerful, and just go for the close every time. So when they say, like, hey, Devin, we want to rent it, I just say, why would you want to do that? And they're like, well, I'm like, listen, you spent a ton of time trying to sell. Like, let me come over and take a second look at it. When are you free? Yeah. And so not even just like anything else. It's just very like, or if they say, we want to stick with the same agent, all I say is, yeah, that's great. I got to get in there and take a look at it first, though, before you do anything crazy. And
I like that one. Like, it's simple.
It for 6 months.
Nice.
If I brought a car
keep it short, simple, and close. Yes.
I'm going somewhere else. Like, let me take a look at it. And it's very high energy. It's a little bit in your face, but it's very effective. You just got to get in the door.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Open them up. Well, energy is attractive, and it sounds like you have plenty of it.
Thank you.
Let's talk about mindset a little bit. So your morning routine is really, really tight and locked out down to like every 15 minutes. How important is that in your day production, like daily production?
I mean, everybody has their own way of doing things. I find that I feel better if I don't wake up at like 7:30 and then go straight to calling. If I get my workout in, it's nice because I don't have to worry about it for the rest of the day. It's already anchored. I mean, you have to do something. So you may as well do something that's effective or conducive to your business.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, totally.
And if you have those systems in place to keep you accountable, it's a lot more difficult to hit the snooze button. I mean, I rarely miss a workout unless I'm sick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're sick, will you still make your phone calls?
No, those are actually the best times to make phone calls. Like if you're in a bad mood or if you're sick, your voice is a little like gruff. Like I remember two events ago, it was like a Tom Ferry event. It was a long day. They have you shouting and yelling. My voice was gone. I couldn't even, I would talk and it was just, I sound like a 55-year-old smoker.
Yeah.
And, I was also in a bad mood because I was up at like 4 and it was California and it was like supposed to be 1 a.m. and it's like 6 p.m. now and I'm making phone calls. And I think in like an hour, I set 5 appointments.
Yes.
Like if you just don't take BS from people and you're just like a little bit rough around the edges, they respect it.
Yeah, agreed. And just think if you would have listened to your body and your throat and taken that day off, you wouldn't have had those listening appointments. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
That's great. You found like tremendous success at such a young age. It's awesome.
Thank you.
And do you have a team? I know you have Rachel that is whipping you to make your calls.
Essentially, yeah, when we joke about that too.
Yeah.
So I'm heavily leveraged. I'm the only active producing agent. I have a full-time videographer, a full-time transaction coordinator, and a full-time assistant. So anything that I can outsource that doesn't directly impact the client in a negative way, I will. Meaning they're always still talking to me, but heavily leveraged.
Do you track numbers, by the way?
I do.
Do you know what your batting average is? You go on 10 listing appointments. How many do you
do? Depending on, I mean, this is just for expired, so it's different for every source.
Gotcha.
I think I'm between every 9 to 12 conversations, I'll set one appointment.
Gotcha.
And for every 3 appointments I set, one will always cancel.
Okay.
No matter what, it's just part of the business, I've learned. One will either end up not selling, not listing, or not listing with me. Now, sometimes I can convert those down the road, but I really don't factor it in. Those are longer term leads. And then one will end up listing. So for every 3 appointments,
right about 50%.
Yeah, for the most part. Sometimes a little bit higher because I'll convert them a little bit later.
Sometimes 2 out of 3.
I think it actually converts to be about 65% to 70%.
2 out of 3. Okay. And that's fine. Good. So you're doing a little pre-qualifying there, and
every time.
So you're making sure they're where you need them to be.
Exactly. So after I set the appointment, because initially when I started, I had a ton of no-shows, and those are really detrimental to your business. If you're doing 2 or 3 of those every week, that's tough. No-shows, because that's an hour to your time. So before we hang up, I said, okay, Ren, I'm going to be at your house, and I just like double confirm at 4:30 tomorrow. You're going to be home, right? I don't want to be in your house without you there. No, I'm going to be there. Okay. Do me a favor. If something happens and your car breaks down and you're an hour away, call me beforehand and let me know. Okay. Cause I'm going to be there. They're like, no. And every time they're like, okay, yeah. I got it. And I'm just like, are you sure? And they're like, yeah. I'll see you then.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, while we're on that point, because you're in a paradise, and a lot of people have a second home there, and there's bound to be a certain percentage of those owners that you're doing this over the phone. Is that correct?
Very often. Yeah.
They're in Seattle, they're in Los Angeles, they're in San Diego, they're in Phoenix, they're in wherever they may be. So tell me how that works. How do you set the appointment?
Okay. So what you have to do with off-island properties is you always go for the appointment, even if you know they're off island, as if you think they're on island. You want them to be like, oh, this guy's serious, he wants to meet me. So I say, Ren, when can I come over and meet you? Even their mailing address is California, it doesn't matter. And then you get them to tell you like, hey, actually I'm off island. Then you just say, well, half the reason I need to come over was see the house anyway. I still want to go there and take a look. Who has a key that can let me in?
I like that.
And then whatever they're saying, then you just say, okay, is there a lockbox? Like, I'm going to go there regardless. Ideally, I want to see inside before we go over everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how you handle it. Because if you just say, let's set a phone appointment to do a listing process or procedure, it's just, I found it's not the same.
Gotcha. I like that approach. That's perfect.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
And then when you do set the phone appointment, you're following the regular listing presentation, correct? Just over the phone.
It depends. Over the phone, it's a little bit different. So what I always do after I essentially set a preview appointment is what that would be, is I have a pre-listing package delivered to their door the day of. So what we do is, let's say they're in San Bernardino. My assistant will call the UPS office there. She will have them print and bind a pre-listing package. Then she'll find out how soon they can have it there. If it's not the same day, she will call an Uber driver to come pick up the package and have it delivered. And this whole thing only costs we do the UPS closest to their house anyway.
Yeah.
Like the pre-listing package costs like $8. The Uber driver's at most like $10.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's not even about the pre-listing package. It's just like saying, hey, Carly, we're serious. We mean business.
Mm-hmm.
I told you I'm going to have you this today. You have it today. And they're like, holy crap, we're impressed.
And it just shows an extra level of professionalism, I think, right?
Exactly.
And I love the Uber driver idea. Someone else we talked to does the same thing. And it's such a great way to
stole it from me. Yeah.
And it's inexpensive.
There you go. Folks, there's some good ideas in this show. We're going to play it over and over. They're going to have to sleep learn it. Just play it overnight. This is great.
Yeah.
This has just been fantastic. This is gold. These are some great ideas. We're all going to move to Wahoo and just list property.
Yes.
The good news is you can do it in Kansas City. You can do it in Chicago. You can do it anywhere.
Yeah.
It works.
And it's really inspiring to see, especially for newer agents or agents you know, even if they've been in the business for 20 years but haven't called expireds, they can do it. You did it. You know, it's possible, it's doable. No one wants to get on the phone, but then once you see the results, it's so worth it.
Absolutely. And it is challenging. Even myself, when I go away for a week, I feel a little bit of that call reluctance going back, no matter what. And that's why it's so important to have those systems in place.
So in 2014 and 15, you really didn't sell anything. And then 2016, 17, 18, you blew up. Is that right? So, so folks, in 36 months, you can be a millionaire making $1 million a year. How about that? I love it.
Probably a little bit faster if you follow the advice.
That's right. Just watch this. Cut the time in half. Go ahead and hire it. You've never done it before, but hire the person to sit across from you and say, that was great. Make another call and take notes. This is gold. This has been a treat.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us. Like, we got some amazing takeaways. I know I'm going to rewatch it a few times. I'm sure everyone else will. Thank you so much.
Good. I want to thank everybody that's watching on Facebook. For those of you that are watching on Lead Gen Scripts and Objections on Facebook, they have 52,000 members, and you can join them at facebook.com/groups/got-objections. And I want to thank Aaron Wittenstein, who runs that. He's got a great program called expiredmasteryelite.com. And then finally, if you're watching on Facebook and you're not yet involved with Vulcan 7, make sure to sign up at vulcan7.com/leadgen for a special deal. And then a lot of people are wondering, you know, is it really that easy? Well, one of the reasons that Devin makes it so easy is his secret. Now, he didn't share it, but I will share his secret. What he does is he goes down to Waikiki, and he goes to the Whole Foods there, and he gets some delicious Grater's mint chocolate chip. This is the one for listings. The other flavors like Rocky Road, that's for working with buyers. That's always Rocky Road, isn't it? Yes. So this is the one for listings. And if the listing is slow to sell, just dig a hole in the ground, bury it upside down, and it will sell just like that. I want to thank everybody for being here. We'll be back next week with another exciting guest who's taking 2 or 3 listings a week. Thanks, everybody. See you next week.
Thanks. Bye, guys. Aloha.